What's going on, everybody? Appliance guy Picker. What's up, bud? Just wanted to make a quick video about payment, getting paid, how you're going to charge for your service, and the different thoughts and opinions out there, and what my opinion is. First off, you have to figure out how you're going to charge your customer. Are you going to charge your customer a flat rate? Are you going to charge your customer service call plus hourly rate? This is basically how I do it. I'll share with you how I do it, and then you can decide for yourself how you want to do yours. I charge a flat rate service call. That service call includes me coming to your house and figuring out what's going on with your machine up to 30 minutes. So that doesn't include if I figure out what it is before 30 minutes, then it's still the same rate. It's a flat rate service call. So I charge a flat rate service call, and then I charge flat rate for most jobs. Most of my jobs that I do, your typical everyday job, is about $115 service call and labor. Service call and labor. So, it typically breaks down to about $75 for the service call, including diagnostics, and then about $40 labor on each call. Now, there are some that I charge more for, depending on what it is. There's some I charge drastically more for. Like when I do a bearing job or a spider support job for American Home Shield. I don't ever do those for regular customers. I only do them for American Home Shield. But if I do like a bearing job on a washer, or if I do a change out a spider support on a front loader, something like that, then yeah, it's going to be considerably more. Your service call and labor is going to jump up to about $225, $250. And I always tell the customer, it could be more, it could be a little less. It's always better to quote your prices high and be able to, give them a little break than to quote your prices lower and say, oh, actually it's going to be more. So when a customer calls me, basically my spiel to them, because you're going to get a lot of customers that are going to ask you, hey, how much do you charge? I always tell customers this: I charge a $75 service call, and that includes diagnostics. And they're going to talk, and if they've called around, they're going to tell you about all these different people they talk to. Well, I talked to this guy, and he said that, if he comes out and diagnoses it, and I get him to do the repair, he'll waive his service fee. That's a gimmick. That's all that is. And if you do that and you want to use that gimmick, then that's great. If you want to do I waive my service, you're not waiving shit. You're not fooling me. You're not losing money on that call. And nobody's stupid enough to believe you that you're doing that. So if you want to play the gimmick, I'm not a gimmick guy. I don't do gimmicks. I'm a upfront, tell you how it is. This is what I charge, and that's what it is. There's no waiving service fees. You're not waiving a service fee. All you're doing is rolling that service fee into the repair. You're still getting paid, $115, $125 a call or more, plus parts. So don't for you guys that are doing that, don't think that you've come up with some new grand idea or something. That little gimmick is old as I don't know what. But if you want to do that, hey, do it. I don't personally have anything against it, but I'm more of a, hey, this is it. I charge $75 service call, and then I tell the customer this: that most jobs are $115 to $125 service call and labor. And, that includes service call, diagnostics, and labor. So anywhere from $40 to $50 or $60 labor, depending on what I got to do. And then you have parts, and you say plus parts. Now that's a flat rate system. You know, I charge. Some jobs take a little bit longer. Some jobs are super quick. And you have to decide for yourself how you want to do it. Here's the reason I do a flat rate system. Because if you tell the customer up front, hey, I charge a flat rate system. Most jobs are anywhere from, $115 to $125. When you get out there and that job only takes you 30 minutes or that job only takes you 15 minutes, the customer can't say, oh, well, you're charging me for a full hour when you were only here 15 minutes. Well, ma'am, I never told you I charge by the hour. I never told you anything about that. I told you up front it'd probably be about $115 plus parts. And that's exactly what I'm charging you. So I used to I used to actually have a $65 service call. My service call's gone up. But I used to have a $65 service call, and it was basically included the first, 15 minutes in the home, and then it was $1 a minute after that. And that just got it's just too much to deal with. Look, this is what I want to make per job. I want to make about $115 to $125 per job. When I wrote out my business plan and I wrote out my budget and I saw what I basically want to make per job, that's the number I came up with. Maybe your number's more, maybe your number's less. That's why you write a business plan and you write a budget. It's so that you can know these things. These things are important. You need to know how much you need to make. You don't want to be making just enough to pay yourself. You want to be making enough to pay yourself, put a percentage into the business, and then put a percentage away for savings for your family or for a vacation or whatever. If you're making just enough to pay yourself, then man, you ought to just go and work for Sears, or no, don't work for Sears. Work for another, company that's already established, and you can just make a paycheck. But I did a budget, and basically what I need to do is make about $115 to $125 per call. So any parts profit that I make is just pure profit. It's not part of my budget. It's just extra. Of course, it's great extra, but and it adds up. But that's how I do it. Now you have to ask yourself, well, how do you want to do it? I do the flat rate so that everything's laid out on the table before I get there. Ma'am, your total is going to be, on most jobs, I always say this, on most jobs, if someone calls you, here's kind of what I do. If someone calls you on a Samsung front load washer and she says that it's making a horrendous noise and a high speed spin, guess what? 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a bearing or a spider support issue. So why on earth would you tell her it's going to be around $115? So you kind of got to gauge it towards the complaint too. You can tell on a refrigerator, you can say, yes, ma'am, if you do sealed system work, that's something you also got to consider. Are you going to do sealed system work? If you do sealed system work, you got to let them know, yes, ma'am, but it's an extra charge if I have to tap into your system. I heard one guy say that he doesn't really like to give any type of prices over the phone. I totally disagree. I want everything laid out. I want to be 100% honest, because I'm not trying to scheme or scam on anybody. I'm just trying to go out and make an honest day's living and, take good care of my customers, and they're going to pay for quality service. And I personally think that I'm one of the most inexpensive guys in town. Me and a couple other guys. I mean, I know guys out there that are charging $185, $200 per call, and they're probably making bank, and that's great for them. But you know what? I just like knowing that I'm not taking advantage of anybody. And not to say that they are, but just this is my personal. When I tell you guys this stuff, this is my personal view. you know, but whatever works for you. This is what I tell you is not the gospel of how you run your business. This is my experience, how I do it, and then you have to consider your situation and your circumstances. Hey, maybe you know, I got 5 kids, so I got to make some money. Maybe you're a single guy, you know, you're out there and you don't need to make quite as much as I do. Maybe you could charge a little less. Maybe you want to charge a little more, whatever. But I feel like where I'm at is a nice little sweet spot. You know, customers are happy with it. I don't play none of that waive the service call stuff. So that's kind of how I do my payment system. Then another thing you're going to have to think about, and I've talked about this before, is what forms of payment do you want to accept? When I first started, I just did cash and checks. And I realized very quickly that wasn't going to cut it, that I needed to accept credit cards. Because I was going out on countless warranty jobs where they owed a deductible, and all I got is a credit card. Then you got to bill it. Then you got to bill out for that deductible, and you know, some of them never pay it. And then you got to track them down. So you don't want to leave the customer with any excuse why they can't pay it. Oh, you don't have a cash or check? Well, fortunately for you, Mr. Johnson, we take credit cards. And it's a good idea to let the customer know that payment is expected either once the job is agreed upon or upon completion. I do upon completion because it's just the way I roll. But maybe you're not as trusting as I am, and you want to go out there and say, you know, you diagnose it and then say, all right, Mr. Johnson, it's going to be $155 to repair your refrigerator. Is that going to be cash, check, or credit? And get that payment before you even finish the job. But that's up to you. I personally do it once everything's done. I don't charge per trip. I don't charge if I have to go get a part. When you pay me, it's as if I fixed it the first time I came, because I think that's the right way to do it. I think that's the fair way to do it. If you're charging the customer for multiple trips and it's not the customer's fault that you had to make multiple trips, then that's, in my opinion, not a very honest and professional way to do business. It's not the customer's fault you didn't have that part on your truck. It's not the customer's fault that their part was a special order and you had to wait 2 weeks to get it in. You know, that's not anybody's fault technically. Now, the way I look at it is, I want the customer to pay as if I did a first call completion, even if I didn't. And most of my jobs are first call completions because I do pre-trip diagnosis and I plan out my day. But, you know, there are, you know, typically at least one a day that I don't complete. Sometimes more than that. Sometimes I go out and it's like, man, I can't complete a call to save my life. But, you know, that's just how it is. But you got to figure out, first off, what's your payment system going to be? Are you going to do a flat rate? I highly suggest the flat rate. Are you going to do an hourly? Are you going to do some fancy gimmick where you waive your service call and do this and that and the other? If you want to do that stuff, that's fine. And I guess it probably does work on some stupid people out there that doesn't understand Business 101. Business 101 teaches you that you're going to be paying for the service regardless. All those little gimmicks and waiving stuff and all that it's all it is a gimmick. You know, you're not losing money. You're not literally, let's say and typically the way they do this, and I'm rambling on about this because I have my opinion. Typically the way they do this is they have a small service call to begin with, which is a bad idea. You know, they were like a $45 service call, and service call is waived if repair is approved. So if you go out there and you quote the job, let's say you go out there and you quote a job, it's $155, and the customer doesn't approve. Let's say they don't approve. No, that's too much. You've got a small service call. They don't have that much invested in you to begin with. They can say, no, that's too much. Or let's say you quote them a high price, $250. No, that's too much. I'm just going to pay you your $45 and go get a new washer. Well, you've just wasted a considerable amount of time. I'd rather just go out there. They've already invested $75 having me come out. Say, all right, man, you know, it's $75. You know, we already got the service fee. I came out, I diagnosed it. You know, the total repair is going to be $155. That's $115 service call and labor and $40 parts. The way she's looking at that, the way she's adding that up in her head is, oh, I'm just paying an extra $80. Why not fix it? I've already invested the $75. I owe this man $75 regardless. Why not go ahead and throw out another $80, get it fixed, and be done with it? That's the way I think. So if you do it the other way and you do the waive your service call, then more power to you. Whatever. I think you're losing money. I think you're kind of being a little bit shady and gimmicky because you ain't waiving nothing. You're rolling that service call right over in. You're doing exactly what everybody else is doing. All you're doing is making the customer think that you're doing something you're not. And in my opinion, that's kind of deceitful and dishonest. So that's my 2 cents on that. I'm running a little long on this video. But yeah, so that's some stuff to think about. If you have any comments, if you look at this video and you have a different system and you'd like to share it in the comments, or if you'd like to email me and discuss anything, my email is theapplianceguytk@gmail.com. So I'd be more than happy to chat it up with anybody. If you have questions, comments, concerns, obviously like it, comment it, and subscribe it. And you know what? You guys have an awesome day. Keep on keeping on. Peace out.